Welcome back in, everybody, to One Piece chapter 1087. My name is Sai, and today we're going to be going down this latest chapter of One Piece, breaking it down, talking a little bit about it, and all that good stuff. So with that being said, let's just hop right into it. So when you first pop open the chapter, the first thing you see is Ace feeding a capybara. And here's the thing, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do believe that it is intentional that Oda put Ace on the cover of this specific chapter. I feel like I don't have to remind you guys who Ace is, but he was the main reason why Marineford happened in the first place. One of the biggest wars and arcs in One Piece. And if this chapter is going where I think it's going, we could be heading towards a Marineford 2.0. It's either that, or people just really like Ace and capybaras. Last thing I want to say about the cover page is that while I really do like how lighthearted and fun the reader requested cover pages are, I really am looking forward to when we start another cover page story, one that is canon, because the last one we had was pretty cool. It was Jerma 66, it was the Mads team, it had Vegapunk, Queen, it had everybody in there, and we got more world building lore, and I really can't wait until we get back to that. And I would love to hear what you guys think. Do you like the reader requested covers, or no, do you wish we go back to a more canon focused cover page? So into the chapter, we cut over to Marine Base G1, a brand new location to us, the readers, and we see two giant battleships in the forefront that have been severely dented. The two characters ask Brand New, who did this? And Brand New responds to Iron Fist Full Body and Django that the people who dented these battleships are none other than Vice Admiral Garp and former Admiral Aokiji. Destroying battleships in the verse of One Piece is not really a big feat. Everybody does it at some point or another. But with these battleships, Garp and Aokiji destroyed them with no haki and no devil fruits, which is a massive feat, because when you think about the entirety of the story of One Piece, we haven't really had a character punch a ship and break it without either one of those abilities. So having Garp and Aokiji be able to do this is pretty big. And here's the thing too, we all knew that Garp could probably do this, right? Garp, Whitebeard, Raj, like the goats of the series, yeah, sure, they can punch a battleship and break it. But Kuzan? Kuzan isn't known for his fisting. When people think of him, they usually say, oh yeah, he's the ice guy, he's the admiral, he's cool and whatever. But nobody looks at him, looks at his fist and says, wow, that packs a punch. So I guess we have to start putting respect on Aokiji's fisting game. So minus setting the tone of the chapter, I really do wonder if this will have some bigger implications later on. Maybe Django and Iron Fist Full Body look at this training regiment and they started. Because while Django, I can't really see him fisting a battleship, I could definitely see Iron Fist Full Body maybe trying, right? He was introduced as the guy who has iron fists. So maybe he starts on this training path and he will become a monster down the line? I don't really know. He's kind of a gag character, but maybe if we have a crazy time skip, he'll become a monster. So this is when we cut back over to Hachinosu Island in the present day, and we see that Avalo Pizarro transformed back into the skull, and he is watching as San Juan Wolf gets tossed into the ocean by Vice Admiral Garp. Which, I mean, I'm just gonna say right here, that's pretty crazy. Garp managed to just casually throw a giant with the giant fruit into the sea. Also, I just want to take a second to appreciate the irony of this. Last page, we hear about Garp destroying battleships, and then when we cut over, we see Garp throwing San Juan Wolf, the colossal battleship, into the ocean. So now that San Juan Wolf is out of bounds, we have a lot of Blackbeard pirates saying, hey, we gotta save him somehow. We have to pull him out of the water or else he will sink. And somebody brought up a good point. How will they get him out of here? How will they get San Juan Wolf out of the ocean? I feel like if Blackbeard pirate fodder tries to lift a giant, it wouldn't really work. So I feel like the only person that could really save him is maybe Van Augur with the warp fruit, maybe Avalo Pizarro with giant island hands lifting him out of the ocean. I'm not too sure. Or maybe he starts shrinking because of his giant fruit. I have no clue, but one way or another, I don't think San Juan Wolf is down quite yet. So we go back to the fighting and we see everybody's fan favorite character, Vasco Shot, drinking a gourd of sake and shooting its contents out at Garp. And what's cool about this is that he actually sets his liquor on fire. If you look closely, he grabs a lighter with his left hand and he just sparks the liquor. And while I do think that is a pretty cool utilization of the liquor fruit, I kind of wish we saw more of it. I feel like there's a lot more to this fruit that we just haven't seen yet. And also, one more thing, but I think it's very fascinating that Vasco Shot has to drink liquor to shoot out the liquor, when in reality, he is the liquor human. You would think that he doesn't have to drink. Maybe it's just for some dynamic flair. Maybe he just wants to get drunk. We don't really know. Nonetheless, though, Garp is unfazed by the fire, and he ends up grabbing 2 random pirates to use as human shields. I think this is pretty dope because going back in time, we saw Doflamingo do this, who was a celestial dragon, and we even saw Hody Jones do this, and he was a pirate. So it only makes sense that we complete the trifecta, and now we have Garp doing this as well as a marine. I think the best part about Garp's use of the human shield is that they're not just a shield, they are the spear as well. Because if you look closely in the next panel, Garp actually starts tossing the fiery human shields around the island, and Avalo Pizarro is like, yo, stop it. What are you doing? You're destroying the island. Everything's on fire. And of course, one of the best parts about this is that Garp is having fun. He's taking on all of the pirates at Hachinosu, and he is smiling about it. So we cut over to the coast of Hachinosu, and we see that all of the girls have made it off the island safely. We have Ibari, Tashigi, as well as Kujaku there. And wait, there's one more character that managed to sneak in during this shot. So if you look closely at the far right corners of this panel here, you will see that Oda managed to sneak in Bogard. I couldn't believe my eyes. I still don't believe my eyes. I saw this and I denied it super hard. But yes, that fedora, that band, the lack of eyes, that is Bogard 100%.
Earlier that day,
you missed it. Bogard isn't here. You can't convince. Bogard's not in this chapter, bro. What do you? No, this is the Marine. No. I refuse to believe it. This is background fodder. It looks like this guy. And now, the real question that comes in is, will Bogard do anything in this fight? Because so far, he's not sticking around on the island with the boys. He is on the ship. Maybe he's their guardian. I don't know, but Bogard is here. And will he do something? I still have no clue. Because to me at least, so far, especially in this chapter and how he's kind of shown, he seems more like an Easter egg rather than a focal character. I'm not afraid to admit it. I am a little bit biased. I am on the anti-Bogard train. I had zero faith in the man. I never thought he would make any appearance in this series whatsoever. But here he is. After about 600 chapters, Bogard finally reappeared. So moving on though, Kujaku tells Garp that the prisoners are safe, Hibari is safe, and that it is now time to leave. Garp gives the order for the boys to head straight to the coast and not look back, and that is where we see all of the boys here posed up and fighting. And I love this panel a lot, especially the way Garp is posed up, because in a weird way, it reminds me of Roger holding up the Marine back in the Oden flashback. Before Garp and the boys can escape though, Kuzan shows up after he got hit by the blue hole, and he looks pretty damaged, right? He lost his jacket, he's scuffed up all over, but nonetheless, he is ready to fight. Garp tells everybody to leave him behind, just keep on going, right? He'll catch up with them later. And this is where we get something blasphemous. So, Koby says, please be careful against the officers and the Blackbeard pirates. And then in the very next page, Koby is the one who falls for the Blackbeard pirates' tactics. It is so painful to watch. And here's the thing. Koby falling for a damsel in distress. I can't knock him for that. He's just being a good guy. But dang, he is gullible. Low-key, this trap is so obvious that Prince Groose even says, "You idiot, it's a trap, what are you doing?" This momentary lapse of judgment from Koby caused Garp to get stabbed. Garp reacted faster than the speed of light, realized what was going on, saw Shiryu while he was invisible, and he ran over there, pushed him to the side, and he took the stab for Koby. Stabs in One Piece so far have been death sentences. It doesn't necessarily kill somebody, but it does start the timer towards their demise. And personally, I don't think Garp is going to be the exception. I feel like this is going to be the first of many crazy wounds he's going to receive while on Hachinosu. But that's besides the point, right? That's like looking into the future. But as it is right now, Garp takes a hefty stab from Shiryu. And the cool thing about this is that we kind of got confirmation here that Shiryu can be uncovered with Observation Haki. Because if not, then Garp, knowing that Shiryu is there, would be pretty insane. So yes, if you have Observation Haki or Advanced Observation Haki even, you can decipher where Shiryu is hiding. But yeah, Garp gets stabbed. And another question I do want to pose with this, because we don't know for sure yet, but Shiryu's blade is black. Do you guys think this is a Haki blade, or do you think it is a genuine, permanently black blade? Because we know that's what Zoro is looking to do now. Now that Zoro has mastered his sword, he's mastered Enma, the next thing he wants to do for his other swords is to turn them into permanent black blades. So in my opinion, I feel like if Zoro's next opponent had a black blade, that would be a perfect chance for Zoro to learn and grow. So if they do end up fighting, maybe that's a huge thing, right? Maybe Shiryu's like, oh, you don't have a black blade, Zoro? What are you doing? But yeah, that is still a question. It's not like confirmed, but Shiryu does have a blackened blade in this chapter. So after Garp gets stabbed, he ends up grabbing Shiryu by the coat and slamming him into the ground. It does a lot of damage, enough to draw blood from Shiryu, but Shiryu doesn't really care. He's actually laughing at Garp. The amount of disrespect from Shiryu is crazy. But honestly, that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy the Blackbeard Pirates, because they're not afraid to play in the mud. A lot of our previous opponents, like Kaido for example, they were respectable when they fought. When he saw that the old hag jumped in the middle and interrupted Odin's final attack, he killed the old hag, he killed the old man. And then what did he do to the Cyberpol agent that interrupted his fight with Luffy? He killed him too. But that's not the case for the Blackbeard Pirates. They love playing dirty. They encourage it. And you know what? I like it because they are the most realistic group of pirates out there. They're not afraid to bend the rules. And also, if you spin this in a really weird way, you could even say that the Blackbeard Pirates respect Garp's strength, because they know they have to use underhanded tactics. If Shiryu were to fight Garp one-on-one, most likely he wouldn't be able to stab him like this. The only way to do it is to attack Kobe, and I think Shiryu knew that. Okay, that's silly to say. Shiryu did know that because Garp even says in the next page that he was their aim from the start. They didn't care about Kobe, they just wanted to weaken Garp by any means necessary. And now with Garp weakened by the blow from Shiryu, all of the Blackbeard pirate fodder rushes in to attack him. It looks like Oda's eye surgery was worth it after all, because wow. What is this? So if you guys actually read the latest SBS, Oda actually had a note in there that said that he was studying how to draw butts for Egghead Island and beyond. And that is why Nami, Robin, Stussy, and all of the satellites all are caked up. And here we have it, Oda. Your work is paying off. So going on though, we learn Garp's cross-guild bounty. He has 3 crowns, which equates to 3 billion berries, the same amount as the other admirals. I think that's pretty hype, because not only do we get the reveals of the other admirals, but Garp is put at the same level of respect as Fujitora, Kizaru, and even Green Bull. But granted, I do feel like Garp should be a little bit higher, but then again, like you guys said, he is retired, so maybe that's why he's set at 3 billion. But also, if that is what the Admiral standard is, I wonder how high Akainu's bounty is, since he is the Fleet Admiral. He's a step above that. So for Akainu, I'm assuming maybe 4, maybe 5 billion even. But yeah, I would love to hear what you guys have to say. What do you think about the bounties here? Do you think it should be higher, lower? And also, what do you think Akainu's bounty should be? Also, where is Buggy getting that amount of money? 3 billion? Buggy just has that laying around. If somebody were to bring in Garp, Buggy would be like, oh, here you go. Just take some money from my back room. Like, that's kind of crazy to think about too. Where is Cross Guild getting all of this funding? We know that Crocodile has a whole business in the back end, but are they that rich? Wild. So, moving on though, we get another flashback of Kuzan and Garp, and we see Garp in his prime. And Kuzan is like, hey, I want you to mentor me, right? Like, I'm not gonna grow with the other Marine instructors. I gotta learn from the best, and that best is you. Garp tells him to get out of here and that he doesn't want to train him, but Kuzan kind of lets himself in. And they start training. They start punching the battleship bags. Kuzan's punches start off very mellow, but as time goes on and as we get time skip after time skip, Kuzan's punches only get stronger and stronger until the point where the sound of Kuzan's punches matches that of Garp. While it is still crazily impressive that Aokiji was able to match Garp's punch, we do have to remember that while Aokiji is still growing and getting stronger, Garp on the opposite end is getting older and potentially getting weaker. So yeah, it's still impressive nonetheless, but that's besides the point. What I like the most about this is that this kind of explains why Aokiji, back in like chapter 300, said that he owed Garp a favor. And now with this chapter, we can kind of assume that the reason why he owed Garp a favor was because Garp ended up training him after all. What this flashback did was that it made me feel bad for Garp. He just wanted a family member within the Marines, and he didn't have that with Dragon because he became a revolutionary, and he also didn't have that with Luffy because he became a pirate. The only person he had was Kuzan, and of course now Koby. But yeah, Kuzan was his #1 go-to guy. He even shared snacks and tea with him. And then we cut to the present, and here they are, squaring off against each other. Kuzan rubs a little bit of salt in the wound by saying, hey, you raised quite the troublesome enemy. Garp responds by saying, hey, you're a foolish student, you've been excommunicated. And that is when we get the next panel, which is crazy, because you see Garp and Kuzan fisting each other with Haki, with ice, and it causes a massive explosion as Avalo Pizarro watches in the corner. I don't think we can undersell how strong this punch right here is. These are the same punches that destroyed the battleships, but times 100 because Haki is involved now, powers are involved now, and they used it against each other, student and mentor, and man, while they probably broke their own jaws by doing this, they also broke my heart. It's just so sad to see. And you can even see Garp's expression at the end of this chapter, right? He looks disappointed. This could be headcanon, but I do think he is just straight up disappointed in the path that Kuzan is walking down. And you know how they say that real men speak with their fists, right? Let the fists do all the talking. I do wonder if Garp or Kuzan were able to convey some emotion in that blow. So after Garp and Kuzan blow each other back, we see Avalo Pizarro coming out to play finally. And it's actually super cool. This is something that Nico Robin would do, right? Just multiple arms and hands sprawling out of this island. And he's like, hey, you thought your ship was safe? I'm gonna destroy it. And the dialogue here is pretty dang solid. He says, hey, when you look at the newspaper, all you see is Blackbeard this, Blackbeard that. But it's time for me, the commander of the 4th ship, Avalo Pizarro, to take the stage. Tomorrow's headline is gonna be about how I destroyed Garp and his comrades. Another really cool thing that Avalo Pizarro says is he says, your hope of escaping is slim. This is Hachinosu. If you poke it, a ton of pirates will come out, which I really love because obviously in some translations, Hachinosu means Beehive Island. So they're literally poking the beehive right now. I think that was kind of cold, but it's also because of this coldness that I think we're gonna get heat next chapter. Somebody's gonna swoop in and destroy this arm. I am so sure of it. There is no way Hibari, Toshigi, Kujaku, Bogart get destroyed by this hand, right? This is a Pika level attack. And let me tell you, Pika got bodied. And even Garp, while watching Koby being freaked out about this, Garp says, hey, Koby, justice will prevail. So I feel like Garp knows something. I feel like Garp knows that there's people on that ship that could destroy that hand, right? Toshigi is a swordsman. If Toshigi isn't at least able to cut that stone, I would be so disappointed. But also Bogart's there, right? Like, people have been waiting for Bogart to hop into the spotlight. Maybe this is it. Maybe Bogart will shine next chapter. I don't think so, personally. I'm not a Bogart fan. Maybe I'm just a hater, and I accept that. but I do think Tashigi over Bogard in terms of destroying this hand. I would love to hear what you guys have to think about this though. Also, one last thing about Avalo Pizarro and this attack in general. Since he's like sprawling out hands out of the island, I almost want to switch up my Straw Hat matchups now. I almost want to say Avalo Pizarro goes and fights Nico Robin, because Robin kind of does the same thing. I know that's very shallow to think of, right? Hand versus hand, woo, but you know, I feel like it'd be a pretty decent matchup. All right, so now the $1 million question. Will Garp make it out of Hachinosu? Personally, I don't think so. Will he die? I don't think so either. I think that the Blackbeard Pirates are going to want to capture Garp. And the main reason why is because a couple chapters back, we learned that the reason why Blackbeard captured Koby was so that they could trade him to the world government so that Blackbeard could become king of Hachinosu. But that didn't work out because Koby is a sword member. Garp, being the hero of the Marines and somebody who isn't technically a sword member, they could use him as a trading chip instead. So it would benefit Blackbeard more if they captured Garp alive. So personally, that is where I think this story is heading. But also, I would love this idea a lot simply because we get the Gods Valley flashback, we learn something about rocks, we get Garp and Blackbeard interactions. I think there's so much that route. But now, the opposite, right? We can't lock ourselves into one mind of thinking. Now we gotta look at the opposite. If Garp makes it out of here, how will he do it? I personally still think Garp has fight in him. He got stabbed, he got thrown around, he got punched once. I don't think Garp is done. He's still awake by the end of the chapter. He even says, hey, justice will prevail. There's still that dog in Garp. So next chapter, Garp could very well get up and fight some more, and maybe he escapes the island, or at least sends Koby and Helmeppo out of here with his strength. But also, there's another chance, like there's a lot of possibilities here, hear me out. There's another possibility where Sengoku and Tsuru show up and help Garp, because we have to remember, we saw Sengoku and Tsuru learning about Garp's plan at Hachinosu just a couple chapters ago. And their reaction was, what? At first, they were focusing on Crossguild, but the moment they learned about Garp, they said, what? And then we cut off. So I think Oda could be building up a Sengoku and Tsuru saving operation here. And let's be real, when else would we see Sengoku and Tsuru show off what they could do other than by coming here right now? Because we have to remember that Sengoku and Tsuru are more or less retired. They just sit in the background and do their own thing. So they don't really get deployed. Akainu's not going to say, hey, Sengoku, go over here and do this. That just doesn't happen anymore. So if we want to see them in action, they have to move at their own will. And personally, I don't think there's a better scenario than this for them to show up. We have to remember that they were a team back in the day. They were best buddies. So if Sengoku and Tsuru don't show up, I would be a little bit disappointed. Alright, so now on to the comments from the previous video. We got the first one from Daniel Mango 1806, and he says, Garp said, my son, when referring to Dragon. That's the very first time he's referred to Dragon as his actual son. So I don't really dabble in the One Piece theory community that much, but apparently this was a big thing. A lot of people didn't know if Dragon was actually Garp's son. They thought that maybe he was adopted or something of the sort, but I guess this chapter they officially confirmed that. I always assumed that they were all related, but hey, we finally got confirmation, and that puts that theory to rest. So with that being said though, this does bring up another question for me. What would Dragon do if Garp gets captured and or executed? Would Dragon show up and fight Blackbeard? Because if you put Luffy there, I feel like Luffy would. I feel like Luffy would very much want to get revenge on Blackbeard. But Dragon though, would Dragon avenge Garp? I feel like with them being father and son, he should go and avenge Garp. But at the same time, it's weird to me at least, because Dragon's story as a revolutionary is so disconnected from the world of pirates. I'm not even too sure, and I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Do you think Dragon would actually stop what he's doing, stop his war against the world government, and say, hey guys, let's go fight Blackbeard? Because he hasn't done that yet. and I would just love to hear all of your guys' opinions on that. The next comment says, the justice will prevail line is a great callback to Doflamingo's speech at Marineford. And yes, I really love this so much because Doflamingo says, hey, justice will prevail? Of course it will, because whoever wins the battle becomes justice. So yes, I am wondering if Oda is setting this up to be ironic, or if Oda is saying that yes, Garp will win at the end of the day. I'm really curious. I am really curious. Next chapter is going to be crazy, and as much as I want to go back to Egghead, I kind of hope we stay on Hachinosu, right? I don't want to end this on a cliffhanger, so to say. The next comment says, I think if Kuzan is really a sword member as speculated by other people before, he will have to save Garp next chapter. I think Oda is trying to take out the old generation out of the picture to create a spotlight for the current generation. It's fair to have Kaido, Big Mom, and Garp out of the picture altogether, just like how Oda gave us a moment where the Dark King said he's too old to fight against Blackbeard, and he would probably lose if he does fight against Blackbeard at his age, and I completely agree. The older generation has the repertoire, and at one point they even had the power. While they're still monsters right now, they're not in their prime. Garp mentioned it a couple chapters ago, how normally, that punch would do a lot more. And we even had Whitebeard back at Marineford saying that he can't be the world's strongest forever. People get older, they get weaker. And that is why the new generation is so important. That is why Garp called Koby the future of the Marines. And that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy the idea of Garp going down, so that it could light a flame underneath Koby to push him to become stronger. We need to see Koby destroying battleships with his fist. We need Koby doing all of that. And yeah, I think the older generation is more or less out of the picture now, especially with the fall of Garp. But I would love to hear what you guys have to say. The next comment says, random prediction. The Gorosei offers Blackbeard what he wants if he takes out Luffy. Since they know Luffy will come to rescue Garp, they are always opportunists, and I love this idea. Because I was always wondering when and where Luffy would fight Blackbeard, right? When Blackbeard started getting the rubbings of the poneglyphs, I was like, oh snaps, they might meet at Laugh Tale, or they might meet at the final poneglyph. But if the world government says, hey, Blackbeard, you got to take out Luffy, I feel like that would be perfect. And that's a deal that I think Blackbeard would take. Next comment says, if the Marines have word of Kuzan being on the island, I feel like Akainu could come for a rematch. This is probably not gonna happen, but I'm coping. I'm coping too. We still haven't seen the Kuzan versus Akainu fight yet. And I think there's a reason why Oda isn't showing it, Like, I feel like there's something there that Oda doesn't want to reveal yet. But maybe if we get that matchup 2.0, it would go freaking crazy. But coming back to reality for a minute, I really don't think Akainu's coming. He doesn't know about this operation. It wasn't sanctioned by the Navy or the world government. So as far as Akainu coming here, I don't think so. But he did say recently that he's gonna step into the field pretty soon. So maybe he does show up, but I just don't think so. But I am waiting for the day when Akainu shows what he's got. Because if Kuzan is this strong, if Kuzan's fist is just as strong as Garp's, or, around that area, then what is that saying about Akainu, who beat Kuzan and destroyed his limbs, right? Absolutely wild. But with that being said, hey, thank you guys so much for stopping by and checking out this video and staying up until this point. I really freaking appreciate it. I am super happy that One Piece is back, man. I can't believe how much I missed it. It's kind of weird because, back in the day, if one manga goes on break, if you guys remember like the golden era of One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto, if one of them took a break, you had the other two to fall back on. It's like the Void Century whenever One Piece goes on break. It breaks up the Thursday routine, and it's sad to see. But yeah, again, thank you guys so much for stopping by. Extra thank you to the Patreon members and all the new channel members here on the side. You guys are the freaking best. And if you guys have a moment to spare, please check out my side channels down below. Everything is linked down there. Discord, Twitch, gaming channel, anime reactions. You don't have to go there, but I would appreciate it if you did. But if not, that is totally fair. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And again, thank you so much for sticking by to this point. Please consider liking, commenting, and subbing down below. And I'll catch you guys next time. My name is Sai, and I'm signing out. Peace.